I am live. Hello. For anyone watching in the live chat, could you let me know that you can hear me? Can you let me know that the audio is working? That would be super helpful. Um, so I had a last minute cancellation today, and so I decided, I had to decide if I wanted to just not come on here or do it by myself. And I decided that consistency is probably important for this kind of thing. And I enjoy coming on here, even if no one's watching, which may be the case. Um, and I'm just going to give some updates about what's going on for me right now here in Maui. And, for anyone watching live or for anyone watching in the future, this is just another piece of content for my channel. So, um, things are kind of moving and grooving here in Maui, and it's been pretty interesting. I posted some content when I first moved here about some of my fears about relocating, because I was certainly afraid that I would not be able to quote unquote make it here, that I would not be able to find work as a musician because it's such a small community and a small isolated place. Um, but so far, I have been proven, my fears have been proven wrong. And I'm finding there certainly is a niche for me here. And and so I'm going to talk about how I found that niche a little bit and what life has been like here because I would say in the last 2 weeks or so, things have really accelerated for me. And it seems, in some sense, that the word is out that I'm here and that I can do the things that I can do. Um, and it seems that I am becoming in demand for some of those things that I do. Um, and those things are obviously performing music live, in a variety of different settings. Those things include teaching music, um, and I guess those broadly cover the two main things. Recording music as well. So I have found that there's been a pretty significant demand for me to do all of those things here, and all of the connections have been interrelated. One thing that's gone very positively this week, and the last 2 weeks really, is that I suddenly have acquired a lot of students. I think I have something like 14 or 15 local Maui students on my roster now. And, um, a lot of those I still have yet to meet. We just like talked on the phone and scheduled a first lesson, and I don't know if they're going to be consistent or not, but it's still exciting that my phone has been ringing constantly in the last 2 weeks with new students. It seems like every day or every other day I have a new student in my inbox, or a potential new student in my inbox. And so I'm going to talk about how that happened, how I got into that position. And so, if anyone saw my video on how I got my first gig in Maui, I gave a lot of backstory into this whole journey that led me to my first gig, which was at a little music festival out in the middle of nowhere at a place called Plente Chiave. Um, and I got that gig through a series of connections that started with me just walking down the beach and talking to strangers. And um, essentially, one of the strangers I talked to on the beach had a guitar in his hands, and we wound up having a nice conversation. He invited me to a party the next day where I met someone named Devin, who is something of a community organizer and leader around here. He throws a lot of parties, but his parties are parties with an intention, which, for me, it's very relatable because of I throw Beard Fest, which is in a way a party with a broader intention. So the parties that Devin throws, they're called garden parties. And so people get together and they garden all day, and then they cook a feast and they share the feast and hang out and build community, and then they have a jam session at night. So I went to this party and I met Devin and I met a bunch of his friends, a bunch of the local musicians around here. And I made some connections that night. I met a drummer who told me that his name was Joel, and he told me that he teaches at a local music school called Kupono Music. And I followed up with him the next day, and he gave me the contact info for that. So I contacted them and I got on the roster. That same night, I met a singer named Soul, who, after having jammed with me, sort of tentatively invited me to join his band. He was just like, "You should come jam with my band." Um, and obviously, I met Devin, who got me my first gig, and I met someone named Skylar, who also helped connect me to a lot of people in the community. And all of these connections, which happened very organically, are the things that led me to having my inbox overflowing with new students and people who want me to come do gigs for them. It all just emerged organically from these connections. I was talking with someone earlier today, and I told him how much my schedule had filled in, and he knew that that all happened very recently, and he was like, "Wow, that's crazy. How did you fill up your schedule so quickly? Where have you been advertising?" And I told him, I haven't really been advertising. I actually haven't advertised for my lessons at all, save for like one Instagram story where I was just like, "Hey, I'm available for lessons." That was the only advertising I've done. All of my other referrals have come from either two websites that I'm listed as a teacher on, one of which is Bounty Music, which is the only music school here on the island. Which again, I mean, I've known about Bounty Music since I moved here, but I only knew that it would be a good idea for me to apply because of a person I met out in the world playing music who gave me a contact. Um, so I'm listed on this website, Bounty Music. It's the only music store on the island, and they have only one other guitar teacher. And this one other guitar teacher, he only works on Saturdays and his schedule's already completely full. So now, anytime anyone on the island goes to buy a guitar for themselves or for their kid, the logical next question is, where can I get lessons? And right now, I am the person that they're sending all of those people to. I'm the only other person they have. I'm the only person they have with availability. I'm also listed on this other website. And so pretty much if anyone in Maui searches for music lessons, they're going to find me on one of these two websites because these are basically, as far as I can tell, the two main websites with traffic on Google if you search Maui guitar lessons. So that's been a great help. But then also another connection that I got through talking to a stranger and getting invited out to a party, which got me my first gig, which got me to meet a bunch of other people. Um, Another connection that I got was I got invited to a Thanksgiving party with my girlfriend. We both got invited to a local Thanksgiving party, and it turned out to be this huge party with people of all different age ranges. And when we were at this party, um, these jam sessions started happening with sort of like an older crowd. Um, and they knew all these songs, they knew how to sing together, and it was clear to me that this was like an active community of people that had a musical thing going on. I didn't know exactly what it was, but it was like clear that all these people played and sang together on a regular basis. And it was clear that this one woman was kind of like the leader of that. And so I jammed with them, and I think I made a good impression on them that night. And it wasn't for another month that I got a text from my friend who had invited me to that Thanksgiving party saying, "Hey, this woman, her name is Nirja, who you jammed with on Thanksgiving. She's looking for you. She wants to find you and reach out to you. And she heard that you're new, and she just wants to she sought me out so that she could find you. She wanted just to talk to you so that she could offer her support." And that's a really beautiful thing to hear. And so I got in contact with her, and I found out that she is a leader over at this place called the Temple of Peace, which is a beautiful place that Zoya and I have driven past a few times, and we thought to ourselves, what is this place? We want to go in there, but we had yet to go in there. And so it turns out that Nirja, who I met at Thanksgiving, she runs a community choir at the Temple of Peace with like 30 to 40 people that come every single Monday. and they sing together and she leads them through song. And it's not the type of choir that you might envision if you think of like a high school choir. Everyone's got their sheet music and their traditional training and all this. In this choir, it's just singing. It's singing for anyone. You don't need any special skills. You could show up never having sung with other people before, and she'll get you singing. And what has happened is that she's brought me in to be her accompanist because they're not working off music, everything's by ear. That's one of my best skills is just listening and picking up the music. And so I just show up and I use my ear, I listen to what people are singing, and I figure out what the chords are and I accompany them. And then every day at the end of choir, she hypes me up and she says, "Hey, I highly recommend that you all contact Jeremy and get some lessons." So I've got some students that way. And then the another way that I've gotten students is that I have made connections with some other local teachers um, through a combination of means, and they've started referring me students that are too advanced for them. So I have this one teacher friend, musician friend, who plays cello, and he teaches not only cello, but he teaches guitar and he teaches ukulele. And if he finds a guitar or ukulele student who doesn't seem like the right fit for him or seems too advanced for him, he's been sending them my way. And that's been extremely helpful. And yeah, and so through this networking that I've been doing through a variety of means and mostly organically, I've gotten my schedule for teaching pretty full pretty quickly without, I never put up posters anywhere. I never put a Craigslist ad up. Nothing like that. It's been through what they call here coconut wireless. So, so yeah, that's a little backstory into how that's all going, and that feels good. It has alleviated some of my fears that I would drain my savings while living in Maui, although that was starting to happen for the first 2 months. It's starting to reverse course. So that's happy news. Um, and yeah, so I've gotten busy rather quickly in the last few weeks. I also have been doing a regular gig every single weekend where I'm playing guitar in a musical and I'm making use of a skill that I have, which is sight reading music. It's a skill that back home before I came here, I thought to myself, I'm not really good enough at sight reading to get a gig. I'm not really good enough at sight reading to play in a musical theater pit orchestra, even though that was something I always did want to do. I think musicals are pretty cool. Um, Here on Maui, because it's a smaller pond, it's one of the advantages of a smaller population. There are very few guitar players here that can read music. And so I was lucky enough to get connected with a musical theater gig, which has had 9 performances. And that's happening for the final time this coming weekend. So if anyone is watching this now or in the future from Maui, um, come see our play this weekend. The tickets are almost sold out. And that's been a great connection. And it's been a great opportunity to hone this skill of reading music. And for me to realize that I actually can read music okay. I know I'm not the world's greatest at it. I know if I was to show up in New York City tomorrow and be like, hey, hire me for Broadway, I am not the guy for that job. But I now know that I can do a Broadway musical. I can read well enough to do it. With a combination of reading and a little bit of homework, I can do it. And it turns out, I'm used to learning music by ear. I've done a lot of shows where I've had to learn 2 hours of very complex music by ear and then completely memorize it and not look at anything. And I found that even though I'm not the world's greatest reader, it's much easier to do a gig where I have a book with the music written, because I can go do a little bit of homework. I'm used to having to do a ton of homework for gigs where I have to learn 2 hours of music. That a gig where I have to learn 2 hours of music probably takes me, I don't know, 80 hours of prep time. in order to memorize that 2 hours of music if it's complex. Um, with a book, like I said, even though I'm not the world's greatest reader, I only need maybe 8 to 10 hours of prep time. And then the book has my back from there. I can just look at the book and that guides me through. And that's fantastic. And it's been a great opportunity of being here in Maui that I've had the opportunity to exercise certain skills that I personally thought I wasn't good enough at to do professionally and then come here and find, oh my God, you're a guitar player that can read. We need you. Come here and do this. We don't care if you're not that good at it. You're better than most of the people that we have access to at it. And so that gave me the confidence I need to actually jump in the deep end and say, all right, I will play guitar for a musical. And now by the end, the next time I'm asked to play guitar in a musical, I'm gonna say yes for sure because now I know that it's a thing that I can do and it's a thing that I enjoy doing. And I definitely see it as anytime I have the opportunity to get paid and go perform in public, it's an opportunity to work on my skills and improve as a guitarist. Um, and it just helps focus me. It helps focus my practice efforts. So that's a great thing. I'm just gonna say that yeah, there's not very many people watching live, but if anyone wants to ask a question in the chat, go for it, and I'll answer your question. So, um, let's talk about YouTube a little bit. So I've been posting videos on YouTube for I think 4 or 5 years. But at first, probably the first video I posted was just a one-off thing. I wasn't taking YouTube seriously. I just happened to post a video. Um, it got some views, but it was not any sort of big thing. And then on occasion, from time to time, I would upload a video, maybe once a year. And, again, wasn't taking it very seriously. It was just whatever. And then in 2020, I was uploading a lot more videos, but I was really focusing on my Facebook at the time, which in retrospect was a little bit silly. I should have been taking the YouTube thing more seriously because I think YouTube is just a better platform than Facebook, to be completely honest. It's a better platform for music creators anyway. Um, but I was taking my Facebook content and I was posting it on YouTube pretty consistently. And then in 2021 and 2022, I kind of just stopped. Um, and then when I moved to Maui, I decided very consciously that I was going to put an effort into my social media, specifically YouTube, and also concentrating on Instagram as well, but with YouTube being my main focus. And that is starting to go well. All of a sudden, I think my subscriber base has almost doubled in the last 3 months since I've been on Maui. And most of that growth has been due to videos that I posted in 2020, which is my Here, There, and Everywhere Beatles cover, which just broke 80K views today, and my SpongeBob video, which we call Jiggly Jazz, which I think broke 30K this week views. And both of them are like, at this moment, getting thousands of views every single day. They're like through the roof. Um, and I'm getting new subscribers constantly from those. My newer videos that I'm dropping are getting way less views than that, but they are getting more views than they used to. So it's interesting. I have this feeling that YouTube is serving my videos. YouTube is serving my old videos to more people as a reward for me making new videos. That's what it seems like. And then some of those viewers from those older popular videos are trickling in to watch my newer videos. Um, and then I've been doing this weekly live stream series, which, generally only has a handful of live viewers and like right at this very moment has zero live viewers. But that's fine. I kind of knew that would be the case for today since my guest canceled and I didn't promote it as hard. Um, but I'm showing up just to do it. Just to be consistent, just as, I'm thinking of it as like a daily practice. And it's like this musician, Jonathan Scales, said, um, as musicians, as artists, it's helpful to think of ourselves as like the local bakery. It's like you're going to go into work every day, you're going to bake bread, you're going to offer it to the public. And Some days you'll have a busy day. A lot of people will come in, they'll buy your bread, they'll tell their friends. Other days, for unknown reasons, maybe it's raining outside, maybe everyone already bought bread at the grocery store, no one's going to come in. And that's fine. You're still going to show up to work. You're still going to be there from 9 to 5. You're still going to make however many loaves of bread you can make. You're still going to make them as best as you can make them. And then you're going to show up again the next day and the next day after that and on forever, hopefully. Um, so that's why I have shown up here, even though my guest became unavailable. I just figure I should be on here doing my thing. Um, and whether or not anyone's watching it live, people will watch it in the future. I have faith in that. So if you're one of those future people, hello. All right, so let's give an update on my original music. So I just recently released my first single ever. It's called Break My Mind, and it's available on YouTube. I made a YouTube video and it's on Spotify and Apple Music and all the places. And it's my first solo release ever. And this is significant to me because I actually started making that song in 2020 and I worked on it for months. I worked on it so hard in 2020 and I was so hype about it. But I had this evil little perfectionist thing going on where it was never good enough. And I wound up doing something which I would like to call I let it get overripe. So I had this little tomato growing on the vine and it was growing and I was like, wow, it's so beautiful. And I was nurturing it and watering it and taking care of it every day. And it was ripening and ripening and ripening. And then I was like, and it was perfectly ripe. And then I had this moment of like, I want to nurture it more. I want to just keep nurturing it. Maybe it'll get even better with more work, more nurturing, more care, and it'll get better and better. But you know what happens? um, it starts to rot. It starts to rot on the vine because you didn't pick it when you had the opportunity. And that's what happened for me with this song. I burnt out on working. I worked on it so much that I couldn't stand it anymore. And I wound up putting it down for like two years before my girlfriend really convinced me to pick it back up and finish it and get over my crazy perfectionist nature and just put it out. And so I finally did. It took me a really long time, even just picking it back up and finishing it with the video and getting artwork and a photo shoot done, like all that took me like a year because I had to do it in my mind, I had to do it a certain way. It had to be a certain level of perfect and I needed to release it as part of an EP and I needed to do a marketing push and all this stuff, but finally, finally, all of that came to pass. So I see I have some live viewers right now. Does anyone have a question? Does anyone want to ask me a question in the chat? If you do, I will very happily answer your question. If not, I'm gonna just keep on talking. So, so I finally got this music out, and it feels so good. It feels so good to have it out, and I'm so excited to release my EP. That's going to be coming very soon, and I'm going to be updating you on all the platforms about that. And it's going to feature three more songs. One of them I co-wrote with my friend Damon Isaac Smith, who's an absolute phenom of a piano player and singer and songwriter Damon recently became quite the TikTok sensation. Last I looked, he had 60,000 followers, and that happened like this. He was struggling on social media. Like even his friends didn't care about his stuff. And I never knew why. I thought Damon is like one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. And he just can't get anyone to care on social media. And then all of a sudden, he just has this stratospheric rise and he's reaching tons of people on TikTok and now they're coming over to Instagram and now they're coming over to Spotify and they're checking out his original music and it's awesome. So anyways, so one of the songs on my EP I co-wrote with Damon and my brother played bass on it and he my brother also arranged the drums for it. My friend, the very talented Ethan Feinstein, added drums to it. And so that's one of the tracks. Another track on the EP is actually Here, There, and Everywhere. It's the Beatles cover. It's the same Beatles cover that is my most popular video by far on YouTube. It's got 80,000 views and growing every single day. Um, the only difference is when I first made the Here, There, and Everywhere cover, I actually made a cover of the whole song, which is, I don't know, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes long. And then when I went to go make the video, I wanted the video to be even shorter because, like I said earlier, I was really focusing on Facebook and Instagram at the time, not so much YouTube. So I just wanted really short videos. So I actually cut a verse and chorus out of the recording I made. And then I made the video to the shortened version. So the video that's on YouTube is a minute and a half or something. Um, and the video that or the audio that I'm going to release on my EP, it's remixed. It's got a new bass track because the original bass was just me playing guitar with an octave pedal, as a matter of fact. So I added real bass to it, and I have the full song, 2.5 minutes long. That's going to be on my EP. And then the final track on my EP is a song called Innocence, which I wrote like 10 years ago. It was actually a breakup song that I wrote when I broke up with my first girlfriend that I ever had, who I was with for 7 years, starting in high school. And, when I wrote that song, Innocence, it was when I discovered that you can write a song and that song can, through writing a song, you can discover more about yourself than you had previously known. And you can actually sort of, I guess, transmute negative feelings into something positive. You can take this deep sadness, and by reflecting on it, you can turn it into something beautiful, a piece of art, a song. And in the process of doing so, you can discover how you actually feel about it in ways that you hadn't known. So I've learned through that process that I can learn about myself and I can learn about my own feelings and sort of like be my own therapist by writing music about difficult experiences that I've had. So if anyone watching this right now can relate, let me know in the chat. If anyone watching this right now has a question, let me know in the chat and I'll answer it. I would love to hear from you. Um, so yeah, so those are the songs that are on my EP, which is coming at the end of February. I don't have my exact release date yet, but I should have it soon. Um, and yeah, so more about Innocence, the song Innocence, the one I wrote 10 years ago. Um, when I wrote that, I wrote it and recorded it at the same time. I like demoed it out. And so I made this really low quality home recording of it. I was playing electric guitar through a tiny little crappy practice amp, and I was recording it directly into my MacBook with the built-in MacBook microphone. And if you know anything about recording, you know that that is not a high quality microphone, especially in the like 2012 MacBook that I had at the time. And I actually sang, I held the computer up to my face and sang directly into the MacBook microphone, which is not a way to get good vocal quality. But when I listened back to this recording that I had made, this low quality, lo-fi home recording, I thought, oh my God, this sounds amazing. This is like one of the best things I've ever made. And several times I've either tried to re-record it or I've thought about re-recording it and thinking, I should make this in like a professional studio and have it sound all hi-fi and crisp. And I couldn't possibly release this demo. But every time I tried to re-record it, I just couldn't capture that original magic because I was really feeling it in that moment when I wrote it. And sometimes there's no way to recapture that. Like, it's just, sometimes the demo is the best thing you can ever make. And so what I wound up doing is I said to myself, I'm going to call this EP Homemade Love Songs. I'm going to lean into the fact that I made it at home. I'm going to lean into the fact that it sounds like it was recorded in my basement, which it was. And I'm going to release this demo. And there was things, like I said, I don't think I could ever do that vocal performance better than I did it because I was feeling the emotion so strong at that time. And so I just redid the rhythm guitars to make them sound a little bit more hi-fi. but I left the original vocal and I left the original guitar solo, which I also felt just had this emotion to it. And I added a couple extra backups with my nice microphone, and I actually had to sound sculpt them to make them sound lo-fi so that they could sound appropriate alongside the original low quality recording. And and that's how Innocence was finally finished. And I sent it off to, I remixed it a little bit. I sent it off to a mastering engineer so that it could sound like radio ready. And therefore, I got this old scratch recording recorded low quality 10 years ago to sound in a way that I think is acceptable for public release. And I'm actually very excited. In some ways, I think it may be the best song on the EP. It's not a banger the way that Break My Mind is, but I don't know, it's very intimate and it's very authentic and vulnerable. And so I'm excited to share it. Really excited to share it. So yeah, so that's what's coming with the EP. And I'm gonna give you now some more updates on what else is going on. So I told you about my teaching and how that's going well. Told you about my musical theater gigs that are going well. And I'm gonna tell you about an original band that I'm in now. So I'm in this band here on Maui called Cherreh Strawberry. And Cherreh Strawberry is a reggae band, and everyone else in the band has lived here on Maui for a long time. At least one of them was born here and is a native Hawaiian. I'm not sure if others of them were born here, but I was invited to join this band on like my third or fourth day in Maui. It was when I was at this party that I spoke about earlier. I jammed with this guy named Soul, and Soul was just so positive and so hype, and he was like, "Hey, bro, like, let me get your phone number. I think I might want you to join my band." And we texted about it a few times, and nothing wound up ever happening. And then 2 weeks later, I wound up at another jam session with Soul, and his keyboard player Danny was there this time, and we all got to jam together. And after that, I got the formal invite. It was like, "Hey, we really want you to come jam with us. Come to a band practice. Come jam with us." And so I did, and I showed up to this band practice. And I heard all the songs they'd been writing, and I was just like, these are really, really good songs. Like they're super catchy, and not only that, but they actually have some meaning, some depth to the lyrics. Because Soul is just a very spiritual person, and he's also very community minded, and he's a native Hawaiian, and he's got a lot of history with the island, a lot of connection to the land, which the Hawaiian word for land is aina. And he really cares about the people and the land, and he wants to protect the people and the land, and that's his mission. So he's actually making music with a mission, with like a deep mission and intent. And and he's doing it via these really catchy songs. And I just thought, I wasn't sure if I wanted to join an original band because I know how much time that can take, but and I really wanted to focus on my solo stuff, but I was just kind of captured by these people and their songwriting. And everyone was just so warm and friendly and nice. And they asked me to join the band that night, and I gave them. I was like, let me think on it, let me sleep on it for a night, and then yeah, a few days later, I got back to them and I said, all right, I'm in, because the songs were still stuck in my head a few days later. I was like, these are solid songs. They deserve to be heard. And I want to contribute whatever skills I have to help bring them to life and bring them to people, and have them be as best as they can be. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been rehearsing with them every week. We have a recording that's completely done, mixed, mastered, and it's coming out soon. So the song is called I Love You Like Ulu. The band is called Cherreh Strawberry. So cherreh is a word that they use here to mean good. So if something's good, it's cherreh. And they spell this Cherreh. So the band is called Cherreh Strawberry, and you just got to spell cherry that way. And strawberry spelled normal. You can follow us on Instagram if you're interested. So we have a new song, I Love You Like Ulu. We recorded it here. I helped with this whole process of like basically I help with the whole demoing process. So we had been jamming on the song as a band. I was not involved at all in writing the song initially. It was already completely written when I joined, but I did contribute some arrangement ideas in rehearsal, and everyone was very receptive to these ideas. And then they had a recording session booked when I was actually unavailable. I was actually going to be back home in Jersey when they had their recording session. So what I helped them do is I helped them create a demo in Logic in the recording software along to a click with drums and MIDI bass and keys and a scratch vocal, and I recorded my guitar. This way, the song structure was like set in stone, and everyone could practice along to it and then show up to the studio and lay down their parts along to the demo. And that proved to be very helpful. And we wound up even keeping my guitar that I had recorded on the demo in the track. And so I found myself into this great situation where I could contribute to this local project that the people who are running the project are they believe in it very fully. And then I came in and heard what they were doing, and I was like, you know what? I believe in this project too. I believe in this music. Um, and so I've been happy to be able to contribute to that, and that's brought a lot of joy and friendship. And also a lot of awesome reciprocity. Like yesterday, we went to go demo out our second song, which is called it's called oh frick, I forget the name. Anyway, our new song, which is great. I went to go demo it for them, just like how I had with "I Love You Like Ulu," and we went to go do this in Hana. And if anyone's ever been to Maui or heard of Maui, you'll have heard of Hana. Hana is famous for being sort of like the most remote town in Maui, and it's famous for the road to Hana. People sell t-shirts that say, I survived the road to Hana, because the road to Hana is just one of the most treacherous roads that you've ever seen. It's twisty and turny, it's cutting across the side of a mountain, there's cliffs, there's all these one-way bridges, so you have to like yield to oncoming traffic because the bridge can only take traffic one way at a time. And so we drove all the way out to Hana, out on this farm, and we demoed this track. And while we were there, we got to eat food from the land, which is always an amazing thing. So my bandmates, they hunt wild deer, and they also dive and go spearfishing. They had caught some fish. They had dove deep, and they brought a bunch of lobsters. So we had like fresh caught lobsters, we had fresh caught deer, we had breadfruit, which is also known as ulu, which lends its name to our first single, which is coming out, "I Love You Like Ulu." We had fresh lemons. We had lemonade made from fresh lemons that we picked off the tree, and fresh fish that they had caught the day before, and it was just a feast. We got to go out to this farm and camp out, and I just got to go and work on original music all day and get fed this beautiful food from the land, and um experience some great reciprocity. Feels good whenever I can contribute my skills and be, and just feel that reciprocated from other people with their skills. So yeah, they had wrote this amazing song, and I got to contribute to it and help demo it and play guitar solo, and it's great stuff. So all right, that has been a pretty thorough life update for now. I've just been sitting here alone, freewheelingly ranting to the camera for almost 40 minutes. Um, if I see there's one person watching live right now, I'll give you a second to ask a question if you want, and then I'm gonna get on up out of here in a minute. So, um, while I'm waiting to see if you want to ask me a question, I'll say this. If you're watching this video now or in the future, please click like on the video, leave a comment. That helps a lot. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's going to be a lot more coming. I'm going to have more videos from my original songs that are coming out. Um, and follow my band Cherreh Strawberry on Instagram. And tune in again next Wednesday. I'm going to have a great guest. His name is Dan Rouse, and he play the lick. It's Sam. It's Sam. He's the only one watching live right now. All right, Sam, I'll play the lick. Hold on. I gotta get a guitar pick. All right, let's see. I gotta turn on original sound. All right, Sam, can you hear this? There it is, the lick, ladies and gentlemen. Or should I say gentlemen? Oh, there's two people watching now. Hello to the other person who's watching. I hope you enjoyed the lick, which I just played. Do you have a question for me, Mr. or Mrs. or gender neutral new person? Do you have a question? Sam says perfect. Thank you, Sam. I do practice the lick every day in all 13 keys, and I'm pretty good at it, if I don't say so myself. This has been this has been my 40 minutes of just talking to the camera because I got to stay consistent. I got to be consistent to make this YouTube hustle work. And it's starting to work. Oh my God, there's another person watching now. Hello. Does anyone else who's watching right now have a question? You can ask me a really silly question. As a matter of fact, I encourage it. Does anyone have a silly question? Even if Sam wants to hit me with another silly question. I'm ready. I'm ready. No? All right, well, I'm just going to say again, Cherreh Strawberry, my new band. Cherreh Strawberry. Follow us on Instagram. Tune in next Wednesday. I'm going to be interviewing Dan Rouse, who plays keyboards for Lauryn Hill. He used to be the music director for the Village People. He got my friend Sam the opportunity to play for Lauryn Hill. He plays with my friend Zach in a band, in a project called The John in Philly. And Dan is also just a leader. He is a leader in the Philadelphia music scene. He sort of advocates for musicians to collective bargain. He wants musicians to get paid more, and he wants them to work together to help everyone get paid more, which is a noble cause. I'm excited to ask him about what type of stuff he's doing to make that happen and how it's going, because when Dan talks, people listen. Sam says, what do I do if I plateau in my business coaching business? Well, as you know, I am a business coach. I coach business coaches on how to coach business. And, I would say that if you plateau in your business coaching business, that you just need to spend more time dancing in front of the camera, mostly naked. That's usually what gets me clients. So that's what I recommend for Sam and anyone else who's watching. Because most of the other people watching this won't know I'm kidding. I'm kidding, I think. I'm probably kidding. But follow me on OnlyFans if you want to see me naked. Okay, so that's it for today. Maybe I'll trim off the the bullshit at the end, or maybe I'll leave it. What do you think, Sam? Sam always advises me to troll. Sam says always troll. Trolling is good. The more you learn, the more you earn. So I'll leave you with that. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for tuning in for my rant, and I will see you next Wednesday. Goodbye.